Hello everyone! How's it going? Let's see how this is going today. Are we live? I can't tell if we're live. Are we live or not? I don't really know. We're gonna go ahead and find out. Because... Nope. Where are we? No one's here. Which doesn't bode well. If anyone's here, go ahead and say something. But it doesn't look like anyone's here. Let's see. No, it seems like we're live. Okay, cool. So, what's going on over here? Okay, perfect. Excellent. Good morning, everyone. We are going to be going ahead and diving into Two Back or Not to Back live this morning. Why live, you say? Because I'm late. Late. I was up very late last night. I'm up late most nights, and so we're going to go ahead and dive into it live. I will be minorly focusing on chat. First of all, Biodelic, I appreciate that you're worried something happened to me. It's rare that... the Two Back or Not to Back video is almost always filmed last minute, which is a bit of the problem with it. It's trying to be up to date as possible, but that does mean that when I have particularly busy Sundays, as I had a particularly busy Sunday, things like this happen. And so we're going to go ahead and experiment. We're going to go ahead and do our Two Back or Not to Back live today. I will minorly glance at chat occasionally as time goes on, but I'm going to try to focus on just going through this the way I normally would, just with you guys over here as we go through it. I should have grabbed water. Anyways, heavy buffering going on? Is anyone else experiencing heavy buffering? Because if there is... Oh, 1 second. No. What's going on? I think is my audio off sync? It might be off sync. I can't tell. Oh, darn it. It's off sync. It's so off sync. How bad? I don't know. We're going to go ahead and dive into it. We'll figure it out. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and start this off Two Back or Not to Back, starting off the very bat, where the very... no one's else... Everyone's all fine. We're going to spend the first 2 minutes just being all over the place. That's what we're going to do. Everything's okay. We're good. We're fine. It's okay. It's okay. We'll breathe. We'll dive into this. I'm sorry, I've never done this live before. I've done live shows. I've never done Two Back or Not to Back live. But we're going to go ahead and start this off. We're going to go ahead and get ready. 3, 2, 1... Hey, it's Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Con. We're going to go ahead and dive into Two Back or Not to Back, where we dive through a variety of crowdfunding campaigns, talking about what makes sense to back, what makes sense to pass on, which games are incredibly expensive this week, and which game might be the most funded tabletop campaign of the year. You probably know both those by the time you're ready watching this video, but let's go ahead and dive into it, starting off, as usual, with the Cult of the Now. Cult of the Now is a segment where we take a look at a currently available board game, and in this case, that's going to be World Wonders over on Miniature Market, which has been a bit out of stock here and there, but it seems to be currently available as a new arrival. This is going to be World Wonders, a new polyomino game that has gotten a lot of solid ratings. You can check out reviews or whatever it is. You can also not spend $300 or $200 or even $100, but rather you can get it for $35. A regular reminder that Cult of the Now, that you can go ahead and get great games available now without having to spend obscene amounts of money and waiting a year and a half and trying to validate and see if it's good in any way, shape, or form. But with that, with Cult of the Now out of the way, let's go ahead and start off. Actually, before we do everything else, we're going to go ahead and start off with a giveaway. We have a giveaway from One Sharp Joe. This is not a sponsored video, rather this is just a giveaway. One Sharp Joe is doing a giveaway over here where basically we're going to be giving away 3 different gift cards for $300, for $200, and for $100 for One Sharp Joe. Now the tricky part I'm realizing now is I'm doing this live, which is hard because you're going to have to go ahead and comment live on this video. The problem is I don't think I can pull from chat, so after this video is done, you'll have to go ahead and comment on the actual final video with the word live somewhere in the mix. You throw live into the mix, and we'll go ahead and have a possible giveaway for $300, $200, and $100. Please note, unfortunately, this is limited to the US. He's done this before on the channel, and it's cost him an arm and a leg, and so this one is limited to the US, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, if you do win it internationally, you can ship it to the US and figure it out from there. But we'll figure that out. One Sharp Joe makes some incredible inserts, some various, inserts. He makes more than inserts. Lorcana tokens he's been doing recently. He's been doing a variety of just big box storage solutions. He does these modular trays. All of that over on OneSharpJoeCrafts.com. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the actual games of the week. Although, usual disclaimer that I work for GameFan. Although also, please take into account, but in addition to the fact that I work for GameFan, the usual disclaimer there, over on GameFan's vlog tomorrow, we're going to have another GameFan Feast. This is an event that we do 3 or 4 times a year where we talk about a variety of upcoming crowdfunding projects, and there's some spicy news coming this month. We'll talk about it, but we have a bunch of projects we'll be talking about. Over the course of 2024, we'll be announcing a lot of creators joining the platform, but we'll have a few of them. We're talking about tomorrow, so make sure to stay tuned for that if you want to get a taste or a tease of some of the upcoming campaigns coming to the GameFound platform. But with that, let's go ahead and dive into everything, starting off with Board Game Adjacent. Board Game Adjacent, starting off with Stonefold Kingdoms, Magnetic Dungeons, and Foldable RPG Terrain. This is going to be 1,440 backers, $318,000 raised, 18 days to go, and Stonefold Kingdoms is bringing you, exactly like it says, foldable RPG terrain. This is going to be terrain that pops up, pops down. We've seen a few iterations of this. I think this is the third time I've seen it. There was like Upzone from, oh my gosh, from Everything Epic. There was another one. I don't remember the name of the company, but they've done RPG stuff. And now we have Stonefold Kingdoms as well, bringing this to the table. The way this one works over here, this is going to be giving you credits you can buy. So you can buy a variety of credits in the sidebar. Starter tier, 4 credits, you know, early bird tier, 1 to 8 credits. I will note they do have limited pledges, but I can't tell if it's like the limited thing that I hate. You know, those VIP limited pledges where they're like, hey, by the way, there's only 200 of these. Wait, now there's 250. Wait, now there's 300. This one seems to be genuine only because they have some that have actually gone away. They've already expired, some of the early birds. So I think this one is real as opposed to constantly lying to you. But we'll find out when they, you know, if you see more than, if you're going to back this and there's more than 400 of this limited tier left, then that means it was a lie, and take that into account as you back or don't back. But either way, Stonefold Kingdoms over here, there are a bunch of various things you can get over here. They're operating on a credit system, so they'll show you as you go through the page. It'll show you like, hey, this has that many credits and this has that many credits. But it's basically pop-up terrain with a various lighting system to add further thematic immersion. The smoke you see in the trailer, that's not something you can buy. I mean, you could buy a smoke machine and do it that way, but that's going to be our board game adjacent Stonefold Kingdoms, a bunch of pop-up terrain. And with that, we're going to go into board game updates, specifically on Deceased, the Zombicide game. 8,400 backers, $1.3 million, 3 days to go. We will have a dedicated Should You Back going up probably Wednesday, I want to say. We'll see. But past that, just a brief update about the fact that they have added a few optional buys. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the optional buys over here. I have to peek my head around the camera to see that over there. But the optional buys we have over here, Arkham Asylum is going to be one of the optional buys, the most recent one that they just added. I think, actually, that's not true. I think they added one after Arkham Asylum. I can't keep track. There's so many of these. But for $60, you get Arkham Asylum over here, giving you a bunch of extras. As usual, there are some Kickstarter exclusives if you get it now versus at retail, because you're paying more to get it now, so that's the trade-off over there. But then we're also going to have, down here, we have Gotham Knights. I believe... I can't remember if that was already announced by the time we did last week's video. Not sure. We have Shadow Pact, which I believe is the most recent one. This is a Kickstarter exclusive one. You want to keep in mind as you go through these. Some of these have Kickstarter exclusives on them. Others are purely Kickstarter exclusive. So Shadow Pact is a purely Kickstarter exclusive one over here. We have Unkillables as well. Unkillables is going to be another one that was, this is the first optional buy. So I think we're up to 5 because we also have Green Lantern Corps, or Corpse, depending on how you pronounce that one. But they have an additional E over here for Green Lantern Corps for $35. That's going to be giving you some exclusives. So far we're up to 5 optional buys right now. There probably will be more before the campaign ends. I'd assume 1 more and then an all-in. That's typically the way Command does this over here. We can probably expect to see that today, maybe today. Maybe today. I think they like to do it after my video, so maybe today we'll see that. But that's going to be more stuff coming for Deceased, and again, we'll have a full Should You Back It going into it. And no surprises, to save you the entire Should You Back It video, the conversation is going to be, yes, it'll hold its value, no, you don't need it, now do what you want. We'll go into more detail than that, but that will be the overall summation of all of this. I mean, with $1.3 million, you can see that it's doing both incredibly well. I mean, not a ton of campaigns cross that $1 million mark, but also, at the same time, it's also doing significantly not nearly as good as Marvel Zombies, which was to be expected. But like, I had this pegged as like 2.5 million. I thought it would do, and it might get like, it might cross 2 million. They do see a large surge in the final days, but I mean, this is a far, far, far cry away from what Marvel Zombies did. I don't know what their internal expectations were. At a certain point, you tap the market enough. Like, I'm a huge Zombicide fan. I am the target audience for these games, and if this wasn't... I don't know, who am I kidding? I'd probably buy them all, but I do get rid of them. I do sell them when I'm gone. Like, I'm getting rid of Undead or Alive because of Deceased. I'd rather have the Deceased and Marvel Zombies, and Undead or Alive is great, but the biggest thing that Undead or Alive has going for it, because I'm not a huge Western fan, is the fact, I'm not against it, I'm just not a huge Western fan. To me, the biggest thing going for it is the difficulty, and Deceased and Marvel Zombies bring that difficulty to the table as well. And with that, let's go ahead and start off with a new campaign, starting off with Horizon Forbidden West Seeds of Rebellion, a new dawn, first of its name, last of its era from Steamforged Games. We have 4,284 backers, 8 days to go, $630,000 raised. This is going to be bringing you Forbidden West, the new standalone version in the Horizon Zero Dawn series. This basically bringing you, building off the core gameplay of Horizon Zero Dawn, while being very different at the same time, by being focusing on co-op mostly. I have a bone to pick with Steamforged in this. They're basically focusing on co-op mostly. I say mostly because they added a stretch goal to add semi-co-op. One of the first stretch goals they added was semi-co-op, and as much as I like Steamforged games, and I do like Steamforged games, I was like, have you learned nothing from Horizon Zero Dawn? Have you learned nothing from the idea that you cannot have, and it's possible they have difficulty settings and tweaks, it's possible, I don't know, but they didn't say anything about that. It seems like they're just going to be giving you the same mode. This time though, instead of being balanced around semi-co-op and then giving you cooperative, which is too easy, it seems like they're at least balancing around cooperative and then giving you semi-co-op challenges, but the same problem kind of exists, which is you can't have a co-op game that is both balanced around co-op and semi-co-op and works in the exact same vein. I say can't, I'm sure there are some, but for the most part, it generally doesn't work. And it didn't work with Horizon Zero Dawn, so I was very disappointed to see them add semi-co-op to this. I understand they're trying to appease people who like that mode, I understand that, but the problem is when you appease too many people, you can end up fracturing your core thing that you're trying to give. You can fracture the experience that you're giving. You don't make people happier. Well, you make people happier in the short term by giving them what they want, but if you don't actually build something good around it, then it's not in the long term. Now, make no mistake, I am prepared to eat my words if the co-op and semi-co-op are both equally amazing game modes. But if one of them is where the game's at and the other one's not, that's just a big mistake that Steamforged Games is making. So I'm not sure. I don't know 100% what changes will be made, but from what I saw, it looks like they're just giving you private goals and ways to score points while still being balanced around cooperative mode. That's all a tangent. I'm still happy that it's being built around cooperative gameplay because that is, I think, where this game thrives most. They're also bringing a bunch of other changes to the table. They're focusing much more heavily on a stealth mode as well. The stealth mode is more fractured in a way that gives you a much better, more cohesive experience, at least in my opinion from having experienced this. But they're bringing a lot of other quality of life changes. They're giving you a full story immersion, a whole bunch of things bringing to the table in Horizon Forbidden West Seeds of Rebellion. It's a name. That's a name. Like, that's a name. It's a name. Either way. As far as what do you get over here, we have £117, around $148 for the core pledge. That does give you the stretch goals and the free upgrade pack. I say free upgrade pack, honestly they're both free, but they're not free at the same time. If you look through the page over here, they'll talk about why back now, get the exclusives, you know, get the Kickstarter exclusive, the daily unlocks, get more for less. You get the Marshall pledge over here, and then it talks about the freebies you're getting. You're getting a free upgrade pack, and you're getting the free Kickstarter exclusive expansion. They're not really free though, because $148 is more than what you would pay for the core box. If you look on Steamforged Games website right now, you can see the core box for around $100, and even then it's often discounted for Horizon Zero Dawn, which means if you expect a similar price point around Forbidden West, which I would for the core box, it's still a good deal. We'll get to that in a second, but that $140 and free, those are just not things that go hand in hand, plus the shipping and all that. Basically, you're paying around $170 or so for all the stuff, and it is still worth it in terms of the resale value on it, but ultimately you have to decide whether you care about all that extra content, because they are giving you the core box, they're giving you the free again, I shouldn't use the word free, they're giving you the upgrade pack, which brings your Horizon Zero Dawn original game compatible with the new stuff, and they give you the Kickstarter exclusive expansion, which includes all the daily reveals that they're going to have across the course of the campaign. So all those things are, yeah, all those things are going to be coming to you. I'm just kind of like semi-distracted by chat, by just occasionally touching base, making sure I'm not missing any horrific things like my camera pausing. My camera paused earlier. I'm a little terrified that halfway through this video it's going to pause, which if it was pre-recorded, that'd be fine. I'd start and stop again, but live, it's going to cause issues. It's going to cause issues. But anyways, that's going to be what we have over here. They've also released the first expansion, the first optional buy. They said there's going to be 3 of them, so, you know, prepare your wallets and all that. But the first optional buy is already going to have the something or other. I'm going to scroll down past all these various miniatures over here to get to the, not the Spikes Note, not the Stalker, not the Scrounger, not the Bristleback, not the card components, but rather to the free with every pledge. You see, $50 free. It's not free when the price is expensive. Again, I understand marketing, I get it all. I just want to make sure you understand that you are getting a good value here, relatively speaking, but it's not a free value. It's, you know, taken into account. We have the day one, we have, you know, Alloy as a character, we have a Graveslinger, we have the playable Catalo, all these various things that are being added to the Stretch Goal box. We have the machine hunting. This is a new game mode to be able to hunt more, give you more content, more hunting of the monsters. There's more dice over here, so these are all things that are included in the Kickstarter exclusive box. And then we have the upgrade pack, making your original game compatible over here. And then optional add-ons, we have the Lowlands expansion. This is the first one so far, bringing you the Slaughter Spine, new marshals, supposedly around 10 hours of gameplay for around $67. So, you know, factor in if you care about that or not. They will not be doing the 7,000 boxes they did in the original Horizon Zero Dawn campaign. They're going to be giving you 3 optional buys, keeping it at a much more manageable level, although of course you can backwards compatible all your content in case you are feeling a little left out. As far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value, all of that, the short answer is probably yes. As much as this game has gotten both, you know, as much as the original Horizon Zero Dawn has gotten mixed reviews, if you look at the actual sale prices on the Kickstarter exclusives from the original campaign, they are through the roof. Generally, Horizon Zero Dawn does a lot of IP stuff, and they do exclusives, and while the prices are not always necessarily the best compared to just pure price point alone, the actual holding its value generally does happen. If you are interested in the Kickstarter exclusive stuff, if you're interested in all those stretch goals, they usually go for more than what you paid for them on the secondhand market. You can buy this whole Marshall pledge over here, and your Kickstarter exclusives alone will pay for everything everything else that you're getting, most likely. I always have to say most likely. I'm just going by past experiences, which is not a guarantee of future events and all that stuff. I sound like a sailboat, an investor. You know, past performance is not a guarantee of future performance and all that stuff, which it isn't. But, you know, generally markets are what markets are, and trends are what trends are, and Kickstarter exclusives are what Kickstarter exclusives are. So should you back, should you not? It's going to cost you a little bit of money, especially if you're trying to go all in, but the Kickstarter exclusives are definitely worth that premium that you're paying on crowdfunding. Not definitely, probably worth what you're paying on crowdfunding. Moving on to Firefighters on Duty board game. 1,600 backers, $111,000 raised, 10 days to go. This is bringing Project Elite to your Firefighter tabletop. If you don't know, Artipia Games is the one who originally brought Project Elite to the table. They then partnered up with Command to go ahead and bring you Simon. They partnered with Simon to go ahead and give you a Project Elite 2, or whatever it is, the second project. What's it called? Project Elite 2? It's just called Project Elite again. Project Elite again. They brought you Project Elite again to crowdfunding with more miniatures, more whatever, all these expansions, all the usual stuff. But Firefighters on Duty is bringing you that real-time cooperative experience in rolling dice and trying to go ahead and get your actions across the same kind of system that Project Elite had, where you're operating with real-time rounds, but then you're alternating those real-time rounds with planning sessions as you deal with the fire spreading out in the city, as you go through a variety of scenarios, build your own scenarios, all of those things, in the thrilling real-time cooperative game where teamwork sparks victory. Sparks was an intentional play on words, I assume, but that's clever. Firefighters on Duty. As far as the pledge levels over here, there's one pledge level, plain and simple. Well, technically, it's a retail edition pledge level. We're going to ignore that. We have the $65 over here for the Firefighters on Duty Kickstarter exclusive edition. This is going to have a few things, and it is a little confusing, by the way, because, you know, I won't scroll down, but they basically have a little chart showing you what you get in Kickstarter versus retail, and the chart's not complete. They're like, hey, you get double layer tiles and some extra stuff over here. They have like 4 things that they list, and you actually get more than that in the Kickstarter exclusive edition. If you go to the FAQ on this page, it's like, hey, all the gameplay content we unlock in the campaign, that's all going to be the Kickstarter exclusive edition. So if you're looking at the page alone, they're actually underselling, which is a rare thing to see on crowdfunding. They're underselling what you're actually getting for that Kickstarter exclusive edition. If I was going by the page alone, I think it's not worth it, but if you look at all the gameplay content you're getting, combined with the fact that Artipia Games, generally, their games have done well. Series, the most recent game that they've had. If you look at the sales that have been on BGG, on eBay, there's not a ton of sales, but so far, Series from the last campaign has been holding its value for those Kickstarter goodies, for those Kickstarter extras, all of those things. Christoph, I don't breathe. I'm sorry. I try to get these videos done in like an hour or less, and in order to do an hour's worth of content, I have to go as fast as I do, because if I talked at a normal, let's do the next one slowly. Let's do the next one slowly. If I talked at a normal pace, a normal rate, then unfortunately it would make these videos about twice as long as they have to be. And already you're talking about a pretty long video when you're talking about an hour-long crowdfunding roundup. But for the next 3 minutes, I will try to talk a drop slower just to make you happy and see who else complains. It's all good either way. I like the fun of just mixing things up. So, Firefighters on Duty over here, we have $120 for the retailer pledge. The game, you know, lots of content around the game. There's a bunch of scenarios that have been unlocked. Again, basically it's going to be divided up into real-time rounds, 2 minutes of, you know, frantically trying to get your goals done. Over here, if we scroll down, we'll see the little chart I was trying to talk about. You have $65, we got the retailer pledge, we got the add-ons over here, new 8 city tiles if you want more of those. We have $12 for the tow truck mini expansion, that's a fun little extra there. We got premium sleeves over here. I usually recommend Sleeve Kings personally, but you know, over here we have some of the stretch goals that have been unlocked, so new city tiles, and that's going to be incorporated into the scenarios. I believe they're going to be. We have new event cards for the game, a new hazard over here, some new equipment as well, new module with some custom die, a whole thing. We have new distress calls, new city tiles, all these things. Ooh, this one's fun. We have the drone. But then if you scroll down a little bit further, we'll see that whole, here we go, here's the chart. We have dual layered vehicle boards for, you know, you get those. You also get the silk screen meeples, the silk screen, and silk screen. And then cutely enough, they did the intense and fun gameplay is in both versions. But again, if you go to the FAQ, they talk about how all the gameplay updates and everything being added is actually going to be Kickstarter exclusive only. So as far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? My assumption is yes, based on the combination of things that are being added to the core experience, as well as because of the Artipia's past history of how their games have done on the secondhand market. And so with that, let's go ahead and move to Cargo Empire. Okay, yeah, Jan, I did notice I was already increasing. I did. It's hard for me to not immediately pick up the pace. Cargo Empire, dominate logistics with only one action, 404 backers, 10 days to go, $22,000 raised. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead. It's gonna do an auctioneer thing. I changed my mind. This is gonna be coming to you from Magnate Game Design, and this is going to be a game where you sell goods. That's the entire game. The entire game is pick a place, sell goods, and then build a building. Pick a game, sell goods, build a building. It's just one core action being done again and again, while trying to rely on the actual intricacies of the gameplay to provide the strategic experience that you're looking for. This game has been compared to Brass from Rado. Obviously, take any comparisons anywhere with a grain of salt. Brass is like the #1 game of all time, so you want to take that with a grain of salt, but definitely worth looking at and trying to see if this is a game for you. It does look like a fun experience. I haven't played it myself, can't talk about that more. Magnate Game Design has done a bunch of games. I've played some of their games, I've enjoyed some of their games, and this is going to be giving you a $40 for the Essential Edition. And there's a bunch of editions to go through over here. We have $50 for the Extra Traders, that's a 5-player game. We have $60 for the Deluxe Edition, that's the Deluxe, but also 5 players built into that, so you kind of have both those lumped in. You can't really get the Deluxe without the 5-player. Then we have the Logistic Expert, which is going to be $99, so a bump of $40, and that's going to be giving you inserts and playmats. And then for $120, we get also more tokens, UV printed wooden tiles, some extras as well. So you can spend a lot of money on these various pledge levels. They keep going higher and higher and higher. I'd say if you're looking for like the Deluxe pledge, around $60 is kind of what you're looking at over here. From there, it just adds more and more stuff. And you may not care about inserts, you may not care about playmats, all of those things as we go through it. But that's basically what we have over here for Cargo Empire, which has been on crowdfunding for a few weeks, by the way. I've just kept pushing things off because the past few weeks have been so overloaded with games that my videos have been like over an hour every single week, and I just try to keep them under an hour. This week's gonna be manageable. Next week, I think we're skipping 2 back and not to back, by the way. I think we're not gonna have it. I think we're gonna have a different video instead. Maybe we'll have the top 10 crowdfunded board games that I went all in on that I regret going all in on. Maybe we'll do that one. Well, regret's the wrong word. Shouldn't have is the right word. Regret and shouldn't have are 2 different things. So we'll talk about that. But anyways, that's going to be our Cargo Empire over here. As far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? I'm skeptical that it will. Magnate Game Design's past designs in general have not done tremendously well. They make good games, but they have a more limited audience, and the games don't do as well in the secondhand market. Even this one over here, you can see that, you know, we have 404 backers. That's hardly a amazing amount of demand for this experience. It looks cool. I think it'll be a fun game. Whether or not it's an amazing game or a good game, those are different conversations, but I am skeptical it'll hold its value based on the current demand and based on how their past games have done. Moving on over here, we have Food Chain Magnate Special Edition from Lucky Duck Games. 767,000 euro raise, 2,800 backers, 10 days left to go. Food Chain Magnate is basically bringing you, well, Food Chain Magnate. It's Food Chain Magnate. It's the Deluxe Edition. It's going to be super expensive. Going to be giving you a whole lot of ways, a bunch of things to go into over here. We have the various pledge levels over here. We have, here we go. We got the Collector's Pledge for 299 euro over here for the base price of this. And then we also have, that's for the, not the base price. The base price is 159 euro. And the Collector's is going to be the expansion as well, the catch-up mechanism included in that. This is basically a deluxeified version of Food Chain Magnate. We'll scroll through the page shortly so you can see some of the things. I already talked about this a bit in my week in review, talking about the price points, and I will be talking about it more as well in the, I'll be talking about it more in a dedicated video later this week as well, going through some of the reasons why. Well, we'll talk about it. We'll get into it. But either way, going over here, scrolling through the page over here, we will be talking about, let's go ahead and see what we got. Why back now? This is giving you the one-off special edition. This is a big part of the conversation we're going to be having today, which is this is never going to be printed again, supposedly. There's going to be only one print run, not available again, supposedly not available on crowdfunding, definitely not available at retail. We'll see if that holds true. I'm always intrigued. Like, will it come back to GameFound 2 years from now with a reprint? It says only one print run, so it says guaranteed for only one print run. I imagine if this ever comes back to any form of print run, I imagine Lucky Duck will have a mass uprising on their hands, partially because this game is so expensive that the only reason to justify getting it is the fact that it is a top 100 game, and there's only one print run ever. It means that even though it's incredibly expensive, this will, sadly I have to say, this will hold its value. Almost certainly this will hold its value, because you will not be able to get your hands on this ever again. But that also means that if Lucky Duck ever is like, hey, surprise, it's back now, people who spent $300, $400 to get their hands in it will rightly and justifiably be pretty ticked off. So if Lucky Duck knows what they're doing as far as press and PR, I assume this will actually be only one print run. But we'll see. We'll find out. Past that over here, this is incredibly expensive. There's a bunch of reasons it's incredibly expensive. Part of that is Splatter games start off expensive, and they have to take that into account. Part of that is the limited print run. They do a whole update. You can look over that and see how it's going. As far as some explanations to the price point, I have no ill will towards Lucky Duck whatsoever as far as why it's priced the way it is. Practically speaking, though, the sticker shock does mean a lot of people are very upset about that, and people are choosing not to buy it, which is understandable. Although 2,800 people are still spending their money on it, which does mean that there's still demand for this game. Again, this will hold its value. It's expensive, but it will hold its value. It doesn't help, by the way, that Splatter went ahead and discounted their copy at the same time that this campaign is going on, further kind of cementing the difference in price point, which was, Listen, I'm not involved in the conversation between Lucky Duck and Splatter. I'm not. But if I was their partner right now, I'd be pretty ticked off about the timing if I didn't know that was coming. Like, whatever. Either way, I'm not here to cause fights or strife between people, but I may have. But moving on. Unlocks over here, we have all these things. So what are they getting over here? You're getting a new look to the game. You're getting new artwork, which I know the new artwork is mixed. I've seen people who love it. I've seen people who don't love it. I personally love it. I had no problems with the artwork of the original Fuche Magnate. I think that was the best part of the experience. Well, not the best part, the best looking part of the experience. But the new artwork I think is fantastic in general as well. But they also have upgraded tokens and 3D miniatures and models and all these things, and there's a ton between the base game and the expansion, and there's inserts and there's linen money and all these different things that are going on as far as deluxifying the experience. So if you are a fan of Fuche Magnate, this is going to give you an incredibly premium experience. The only reason I'm not getting it is I play this game twice a year, and I just can't justify a $400 price point in something that I play twice a year. So it's just, for me, it's just a volume thing. But do I think it looks incredibly cool? Yes. Will it hold its value? Almost certainly. Is it incredibly expensive? Yeah, it is. Listen, they got... Again, factor in, though, that the price of Fuche Magnate is the base game, the expansion, and then also an insert. You kind of need an insert for that game. So you're looking at around $200 for Fuche Magnate, and you're looking at around $400 once you factor in shipping and all that, maybe $350, $360 once you factor in shipping and all that for the deluxe edition. So it's not crazy, but also people who already have the base game and the expansion are already, and an insert, so I have all those things, meaning I'm already $200 in the hole on this game, so like it just makes it hard to justify getting this for a game I play twice a year. But we get into that in my video I do later this week. Anyways, this is going to be Fuche Magnate. Tons of things over here. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? We kind of already talked about it. I think it will. It's expensive, it is, but if it's actually the only print run they ever do of this game, I don't see how it doesn't hold its value for a game that's like the top 50 on BGG, that's been incredibly well rated and incredibly popular. I don't see how it doesn't hold its value. Although also keep your eyes, I did this last week. Keep your ears. I messed up already. Keep your senses ready. Follow the... I need to figure out my sayings over here. Follow the campaign page over here because they're going to have more updates, by giving you more various releases across the course of the campaign. Moving on over here, we have Evil Dead 2, the board game deluxe edition, 1,200 backers, or 1,300, let's round up. 1,300 backers, $92,000 raised, 11 days to go. This is coming to you from Lynn Vander Studios. This is the game that was on crowdfunding, didn't deliver, had a rescue campaign, delivered, and now it's back. You can go ahead and get your hands on it, and with some new stuff as well. They're basically going to be deluxifying or giving the original game and extras all together in a single pack, as well as some additional extras. I believe they're shading the miniatures, if I'm not mistaken, so there's going to be pre-shaded miniatures and all that. But then we have over here, we have the upgrade kit for those who want that. There's going to be $18 or $18.25 Canadian to get the upgrade kit for if you want some of the new stuff, because they are adding not just, shaded miniatures, but also adding gameplay. So they're making the game solo or cooperative in the game for those who didn't want that hidden trader mechanism. The game in its default form was a 3 to 6 player game, if I believe, and if I recall correctly, and now it's a 1 to 6 player game because you don't need to have that 3 player for that hidden trader aspect, but rather now you could be all cooperatively or solo as you go through this semi-zombie game, semi-invading, semi-infected, as you get the Nomicon, or whatever it's called, and then get infected and have all those things happen in the game. That's basically going to be Evil Dead Rise. It's going to be running that's Canadian, $99 for the game over here. There's a retailer pledge, you can ignore that though, but $99 for the game. That's going to be Evil Dead Rise. As far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? I'm skeptical it will, based on sales of the original game. If you take a look at sales of the original, it doesn't go as high as this price point. So I think there's a demand for this. If you don't want to hunt down secondhand market, if you do want to get these first, by all means. But as far as holding its value, I'm skeptical that this one will hold its value. Moving on, we have Heroes of Air, Land, and Sea. No, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. The order is important. We have Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea deluxe reprint. But let's take a breather for a second and pay attention to chat and see what's going on. Fuche Magnate so expensive. Yeah, unfortunately. What have they done? Keep your senses ready. You are talking me to buying this. I've never played it. Too much FOMO. Which game? Which game am I talking to buying? Fuche Magnate? Fuche Magnate's incredible. And honestly, the people who should most strongly consider are probably the people who don't already have it, but have played it. Because if you don't have it and haven't played it, that's a big risk. Well, it's not a big risk. It'll hold its value, but you have to sell it. You have to go through the work. If you've played it, you know you love it, and you haven't yet gotten all the stuff, that's probably the ideal market for it. It's got dwarfs, so of course I went all in. Oh, Heroes of Land and Sea? That's got dwarfs. Pretend to be talking. Quick, pretend. I'm not. He's looking. Oh, he's looking. That's why Nemesis, why I'm skipping Fuche. Yep, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Nemesis Retaliation. Well, I'll be doing a dedicated Should You Back in Nemesis Retaliation towards the end of the campaign, so today's going to be a lighter, briefer interlude of what Nemesis Retaliation is. But we're not done yet. We're not done because we got more to do. We got Heroes of Air, Land, Air, and Sea Deluxe reprint over here. This coming to you from Gamelin Games, $241,000, 1,600 backers. This is bringing you all the stuff for Heroes of Air, Land, and Sea but also some new content as well, which doesn't kind of, I mean, it just says deluxe reprint, but there's new content here. In case you didn't know that, there's going to be some amount of new content. That is a big box. That is a big box full of Heroes of Ireland Sea, but that does make sense because this game has already had several crowdfunding campaigns, several Kickstarter campaigns. I had this game a while ago. This game is a fantastic experience. I don't have it. We can talk about that as well, but I do think it's a fantastic experience. It's chock full of abilities and races and heroes and all these things in this 4X experience that gives you an absolute ton of content, like a ton of content. There's miniatures, there's pre-painted heroes and all these things, there's maps, there's heroes and races. I'm repeating myself at this point, but there's a lot of stuff going on in this game. There's also expansions. There's like nomads and other expansions and playmats and cards and events and battle decks and all these various things going on in the game. But Heroes of Ireland Sea, the basic idea of it is it's a 4X experience. You take control of your heroes, your race, you level up your factions as you go through this, and you take each other down in this 4X game. I think it's a phenomenally well done game. The only reason I don't have it anymore is I kind of realized that keeping track of the amount of abilities, because your factions all have tons of abilities, your heroes have abilities, there are so many abilities going on in this game that playing a 4-player game of this experience is like, you basically, the way I would describe the game is you're planning your actions, you have your plan all worked up and ready to go, and then boom, before you know it, you got eaten by a dragon that you didn't know could eat you. Like, legitimately, that's the kind of thing that happens. If you don't follow the various upgrades and characters and abilities and all those things as they go, you will have a surprise moment where you get eaten by a dragon, or something similar. So for me, it was just an issue of there's so much abilities going on that I felt I wouldn't benefit from the game unless I was playing it a lot, and I didn't see myself playing this, 5-6 times a year, and so for me, that was why this was less of a fit. But I did have a lot of fun with this one, really enjoyed it. I think it's an excellent experience. But past that over here, as far as the pledge levels, let's scroll down to the pledge levels over here. We're going to have a bunch of pledge levels. Let's scroll down. There we go. We have $299, the epic deal, 30% off everything. These prices are relevant, by the way, because if you look on a miniature market or any local retailer, some things are out of stock, so it's not a perfectly fair comparison, but you will be getting something along the lines of around 20% off when you look at traditional retail. So 30% off is an actual deal because you're getting more off what you would get in retail. But you also are paying for shipping, so it takes a little bit away from that. The short and long of it is that the Epic Deal is a good price point. The Epic Deal is giving you things you can't otherwise get. It also gives you the opportunity to get those like pre-painted miniatures because you can't really get that as retail as easily. So if you want to get the pre-painted heroes, which you do have to pay more for, then crowdfunding is going to be your best chance to get your hands on it. But anything that says 30% off is probably a good deal compared to retail with some caveats. So for example, when you go to the all new deal stuff, this is the new content, the playmat, the battle booster box, and the events of Ogmore, that's 30% off as well, but the shipping cuts more into that, bringing it about on par with what you'd get at retail, assuming retail availability. Playmats are always a little trickier. They're a little less frequently available, so there's always a bit of a toss-up. Overall, the long and short of it for this campaign is if you're interested in the stuff over here, the prices you see here are pretty decent, and the game has a good enough track record of holding its value. It's not perfect. It is a little spotty. There's been several crowdfunding campaigns, and there's so many sales listings, I can't go through them all, but picking a whole bunch of them, it does seem that there's some that have sold for a little bit less than what people paid for, some that have sold for a bit more people paid for. The game has been in and out of print at different points, so it's always a little harder, and especially if you want some of those expansions, those have less retail availability. So overall, the prices on this campaign, they're not amazing, but they are good prices, and the game has done a generally good job holding its value, which means if you're interested in this one, you're certainly not making anything back in this one, or not making much in it, but it's one that you probably can sell if it's a game that's not for you. Although there's a lot here. I mean, going from not having ever been interested in this game to a $300 all-in, that is a level of commitment that I understand. This is crowdfunding after all, but it's not a level of commitment that I encourage or suggest. I just understand it. But then again, bunch of pledge levels. You have the base pledge for 15% off. Not as good a deal, but ultimately it's not actually available right now at retail. So until that restocks, that's actually the best price if you want to get your hands in it. But it will probably restock at some point because they're reprinting it now. Then we have the amazing deal. This is about on par with retail. The insane deal, which is marginally better than retail. The terms are like an insane deal is marginally better than online retail. That's the problem with crowdfunding. They pitch you on the best possible version of what it sounds like. And the tricky part, to give them credit, the tricky part is sometimes that's true. Depending on where you're located, that could be an insane deal. So like, how do you pitch something that has different people who have relatively different pricings or perceptions of value depending on who you are? It's a tricky conversation, but that's why we have these videos, so we can just talk about it and get into it. That's going to be Heroes of Ireland Sea. Lots of things going on in this campaign. Ultimately, this is a game that, if you are interested in it, the pricing is going to be pretty good, and it will hold its value, but it's also a lot of money to spend on this one, and if you weren't interested until now, why are you paying attention today? That's another question you should ask yourself before you spend $300 on a game that's been out for quite some time. Oh, and then there's pre-painted miniatures. Let's see if we can show you these. Over here for $1.50 per miniature. Only the heroes are pre-painted. The actual factions are going to be, well, not pre-painted, so you'll have to paint those yourself. But that's something else to take into account. And with that, the last campaign of the day is Nemesis Retaliation from Awakened Realms. Nemesis Retaliation, $4.5 million raised, 19,000 backers, 17 days left to go. This is on track to be the most funded tabletop campaign of 2023. As of right now, I think it is. I'm pretty sure it will be. I mean, we had Gloomhaven, right? Gloomhaven was the most funded at like $5 million. And if this does not cross $5 million, I'll eat a cookie, honestly. I'll eat a cookie, because I'm not going to eat my hat. I barely have a hat, and I'll eat a cookie. I'll eat a cookie if this doesn't cross $5 million. I'll probably eat a cookie either way, though, so you're not really gaining much in that deal over there. But Nemesis Retaliation from Awakened Realms, $4.5 million. This is the most funded, this is going to be the most funded game on GameFound ever. It is likely going to be the most funded game of 2024, and that makes sense because it's bringing you not only an incredibly popular game, the number 12 thematic game on BGG, the number 21 game of all time, and also bringing you, well, all the reprints. So you can get Lockdown, you can get Nemesis, you can get Nemesis Retaliation, you can get all of the above over here on this campaign from Awakened Realms. This is going to be basically bringing you, well, Nemesis Retaliation, the third iteration in the series. And the core differences, I'll be doing a full dedicated should you back on this game in the last few days of the campaign, so stay tuned for that. But past that, the core differences between Retaliation and base Nemesis are going to be the map is changing as you go. So it's not a preset map. Well, technically Nemesis is not a preset map because the actual spots have different things, but it's more preset. Versus this one, even the general layout of it is going to be determined as you go. The pathways, the corridors, all those things are determined as you go through it. You're also going to be dealing with limited oxygen. You're going to have fun little robots you can activate in the game, and you're also going to be shooting aliens more. This is a little bit more head-to-head. You'll still be dealing with infection and possible betrayal and goals that are secret that you have to try to figure out and talk to your teammates like, hey, I'm trying to win. Are you trying to win? We can both win. Are we both going to win? Are we going to go with the shared goal? Do I possibly want to blow up the spaceship? Do I want to kill the queen? What is it that I want to do? And how am I going to accomplish the goals? And how am I going to kill you along the way? So, semi-co-op. But semi-co-op, this is the highest rated semi-cooperative game of all time, because it's a little less semi-co-op and a little bit more hidden trader combined with cooperative, combined with semi-co-op in a way that actually does work, at least based on being the 21 highest ranked game of all time, would seem to illustrate. But yeah, Nemesis Retaliation is bringing you a little bit more fighting, a little more gunpowder, that's not the right word. Firepower, a little more firepower, that's the word I'm looking for, a little more firepower to the table, a bunch of other small quality of life changes, a bunch of things. I haven't played Lockdown, I have played Nemesis, and I have played Retaliation. We should have a film gameplay of Retaliation for you before the end of the campaign. I need to dive into it more, and then also hopefully a review of the game as well before the end of the campaign. The good news is we got time, we got like 17 days, that's so much time, so much time. It's not like I have PAX next week, or just life in general, or other videos, or other things, and the fact that I'm late on today's video should not be any evidence of just how busy and worked I am and all those things, but we won't get into that. We're just going to move on and pretend everything's good and happy in the world, because everything is good and happy in the world. They told me to say that. Anyways, moving over here, we have a ton of things to go through over here, but we're not going to go through everything. I'll go through a bunch of pledge levels, skip down to over here. We have the Retaliation Collector's Pledge for $189. We have the Core Pledge. By the way, they made an incredibly cheap, like, standee-only Core Pledge for $65, so making the game very affordable for those who want to dive into it. We have the Retaliation Core Pledge with miniatures and all that over here. We have the Nemesis Trilogy Pledge for $345 to get all the stuff, but not really, because, like, there's Sun Dropped, and there's more stuff, and there's extra stuff. There's so many things. If you think $345 is the all-in on this game, I've got a bitch to sell you. But it's actually like probably around $1,000-ish, maybe, for like Sun Drop and expansions and all the various extras. You don't need all that. To be very clear, you definitely, unless you are like the hardest Nemesis fanboy ever, you do not need $1,000 worth of Nemesis. Honestly, you can probably get away with a $65 or $100 pledge over here and see what the game is, see what the game has to offer before, this is the bad news part, because the bad news part is this is supposedly the third and final game in the series, which means whether or not we see future crowdfunding campaigns around this, I don't know. And the tricky part is, practically speaking, the extras in Nemesis generally do hold their value. You can find good deals for sure, but for the most part, the extras, the exclusive stuff, has done a pretty good job holding its value overall, and that just makes it a harder conversation as far as, yes, ideally I'd recommend you just get a core pledge to see if this game is for you. Or heck, you have 17 days, go find a copy somewhere that you can try and see if this game is for you, because if you love it, most of the stuff does hold its value. Not everything. If you're going all in at every peripheral, it can be a little harder to sell the more expensive pledges. It's the nature of going all in on something that costs this much money. But overall, for the most part, this stuff does do generally pretty well overall. So that's going to be Nemesis and all of that. And with that, let's go ahead. I think that's everything. I think it's all stuff. So yeah, I mean, we're done with the campaigns. We're done. Which means we go ahead and talk about our picks of the week. Picks of the week is let's take a look at the sidebar over here. I'm just reading your chats. Give me a second here. Medic was $200 online. Yeah, the Medic was a big deal. That's a good point, Reed. They talk about bringing the Medic back. That's the thing. Some of these, the Medic was always incredibly well sought after. Like, that was a hard to get your hands on thing. I should sell my... No, it's too late. I can't sell my Medic now because it's too late. I should have sold my Medic last week. I should have. Could have, should have, could have, would have. Like, I like Nemesis, but I definitely don't like it enough to need 3 of them. To me, I'm probably going to keep one set, either Retaliation or Lockdown or Nemesis, but I need to kind of play them more, so I'm kind of stuck in the system of not playing them enough while I figure that out. Instinctively, Retaliation might be my go-to, but I haven't played Lockdown, but I do like the extra pew-pew-pew that Retaliation brings to the table, so there is that. But with that, let's go ahead and talk about our picks of the week. As usual for picks of the week, we have 2 picks of the week. We have the game that I think is the most likely to hold its value, and the game that is my personal favorite or personal highest interest campaign of the week. But the one that's most likely to hold its value, I don't need to switch pages, it's going to be Nemesis Retaliation. There are a bunch on the campaign page that will hold their value, but I think Nemesis Retaliation has the best chance of being, if you're going to pick up the game, now is the best time to pick it up compared to retail, where it will cost you more money for basically any of the variations, and the stuff does hold its value on the secondhand market. And then for my personal interest pick of the week, I'm going to pick 2, and I'll explain why. Because my personal interest pick of the week is going to be Food Chain Magnate over here. Like, I am the most interested in this campaign. I am. That's the practical reality, is if I had to pick one game from all of these games that I could just have, it would be Food Chain Magnate, because I like the game already. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and this does look like an incredibly cool premium version of the game. But also, it's one that I think is much more expensive than is worth it to me, so I'm going to pick a different pick of the week for me, which is going to be, well, I'm going to pick both. I'm going to give you 2 personal interest pick of the weeks. My other one's going to be Firefighters over here. Firefighters, you know, on duty. This one is building off the Project Elite system, but in a cooperative firefighting game. I like the Project Elite system. I'd love to see it, you know, managed in this and how they iterated, changed, or adjusted around this. So I'm definitely very interested in Firefighters on Duty from Artipia Games. And with that, the campaign's coming up next week. Next week is going to be a lighter week, actually. Really not a lot of things popping up, so that's why I probably will not have a not-to-back next week. But we do have 1793, Patriots and Traitors, a card-driven game from Sound of Drums GmbH. So it's going to be another card-driven system, similar to games like Twilight Struggle. Lots of game systems out there. 1793, Patriots and Traitors. And then one that I'm a little bit more excited about, we have Moon Rollers. Moon Rollers and Dark Matter, a Moonraker's double feature. This is going to be launching from IV Games over on Backer Kit. I should have coverage of Moon Rollers tomorrow, if things go well, and possibly a gameplay later. Some people have asked for a gameplay, so there might be a gameplay. We'll see. We'll do what we can do. But that is basically everything. That has been your 2 back or not to back. I appreciate all of you being here very much, persevering with me through the live show. As always, I'm Alex Ratcliffe from Board King Co., and I hope you have a good one. Dwarf Furious knows what's up. He knows what's happening here. But, you see, in the age of technology and all these things, and all this stuff we have, like, I have, like, 17 tablets, 14 laptops, 3 computers, a projector, and all these things. Like, I often wonder, I wonder what my parents did to fight boredom before they had the internet. And, I just don't know. And, I asked my 18 brothers and sisters, and they don't know either.